My name is Jessica. I'm 25 and I live in a tiny apartment in Seattle, filled with sketchbooks, half-finished illustrations, and the faint smell of coffee that never quite leaves the air. By day, I'm a graphic designer. Deadlines, client revisions, endless Zoom calls. By night, I'm usually curled up on the couch with my cat, Luna, wondering why my heart still feels a little hollow. It's been 2 years since Mark ended things. We'd been together since college, and one ordinary Tuesday he sent a text. "I think we've grown apart." Just like that. No fight, no warning, just distance I hadn't noticed until it swallowed us whole. Since then, I've built walls, high ones. My friends keep pushing me to try again, to download the apps, to put myself out there. I tried once or twice, but every swipe felt pointless. Until Ethan. I don't even know why I swiped right. His profile was simple, a photo of him smiling in front of a bookshelf, dark hair falling slightly into warm brown eyes, and a bio that said, "Teacher, lover of old books, rainy walks, and really bad puns." Something about the honesty of it made me pause. We matched. He messaged first. "Hi, Jessica. Your art is beautiful. Those watercolor galaxies blew me away. Also, is it too soon to admit I'm terrified of first dates?" I laughed out loud. Actually laughed. We talked for days about favorite novels, terrible movies we secretly loved, the way rain sounds different on rooftops versus umbrellas. He taught 8th grade English and told stories about his students that made my heart soften. He listened when I talked about my designs, asking questions that showed he really cared. For the first time in years, talking to someone didn't feel like effort. Then he asked me out. A real date. Coffee on a Saturday afternoon at a little independent bookstore cafe near Pike Place. Simple. Safe. I said yes before I could overthink it. The night before, I barely slept. I tried on 7 outfits, settled on a soft green sweater and jeans, then changed back into the first thing I'd picked. Luna judged me from the bed as I paced. What if he's not like his messages? What if I'm awkward? What if I cry about Mark in the middle of coffee? My mind spun worst-case scenarios until dawn. Saturday came gray and drizzly, the perfect Seattle day. I arrived early, ordered a latte, and sat by the window watching rain trace patterns on the glass. My hands shook slightly around the warm mug. Then the door opened, and there he was, taller than I expected, wearing a navy coat dusted with raindrops, holding a small bouquet of wildflowers. He scanned the room, saw me, and smiled like he'd been looking forward to this moment for weeks. "Jessica?" His voice was gentle, a little nervous. I stood, suddenly shy. "Hi, these are for you," he said, handing me the flowers. I wasn't sure what you liked, so I went with, "Looks like it grew in a fairy tale." I laughed again, soft, surprised. "They're perfect, thank you." We sat. At first, conversations stumbled. Polite questions about work, the weather. But then he asked about my favorite book as a child, and I told him about The Secret Garden, how I used to dream of hidden doors and blooming things no one else noticed. His eyes lit up. That was mine, too. I reread it every spring. We talked about hidden places, about feeling invisible sometimes, about how stories save us when real life gets heavy. Hours passed. Our coffees went cold. The rain intensified, drumming against the windows like background music. He told me about losing his mom when he was 15, how books became his refuge. I found myself telling him about Mark, not the bitter version I usually carried, but the quiet sadness underneath. He didn't offer advice, he just listened, nodding, his hand resting near mine on the table. At one point, our fingers brushed when we both reached for the same napkin. Neither of us pulled away. Electricity sparked up my arm, small but undeniable. He looked at me then, really looked, and said quietly, "I'm really glad you swiped right." My throat tightened. Me too. When the cafe started closing, we lingered under the awning outside. Rain fell in sheets around us. He offered his umbrella, but I shook my head. I like the rain. We stood there, close enough to share warmth. He reached out, tucking a damp strand of hair behind my ear, his fingers lingering near my cheek. "Jessica," he said, voice barely above the rain. "I know it's only the first date, but I already don't want it to end." I looked up at him, heart pounding so loud I was sure he could hear it. "Then don't let it," I whispered. He leaned in slowly, giving me every chance to step back, and kissed me. Soft, warm, tasting faintly of coffee and possibility. The world blurred, the rain, the city lights, everything except the gentle pressure of his lips and the way his hand cupped my face like I was something precious. When we pulled apart, foreheads resting together, he smiled. "Second date next weekend?" I nodded, breathless. Definitely. I walked home in the rain without caring that I was soaked. For the first time in years, the hollow place in my chest felt a little fuller. Maybe walls are meant to come down slowly, brick by brick. Maybe healing doesn't always look dramatic. It can be a quiet Saturday, a shared umbrella, a first kiss that feels like coming home. I still don't know what happens next, but for the first time in a long time, I'm not afraid to find out.